Welcome, boys and girls. As you can see, I am in the SquareBody Overlander, and we are on our way to camp for our initial shakedown run / camping trip. So let's get into the video. So we are on our way to Apache Lake just for an overnight camping trip to kind of test the truck itself, make sure everything is running great and zero issues with the drivetrain and the LS swap I put into it, and then all of the other goodies that I have added to the truck just to make camping a lot more comfortable and kind of expand our capabilities. So we are almost at camp. Once we get to camp and we get all set up, I will do a full rundown of everything that I have done to the truck and kind of where I have left off from the last video. So we will be at camp shortly, and I'll see you then. Well, we are here at camp, fully set up, good to go. So the first thing we are going to do is pop the hood on the truck, get into everything I did underneath the hood, and to finish the LS swap. Then from there, we'll get into all the gear that I got on the truck and everything we are running and how we have it set up for our camping trips. Well, first thing is, I did have a shop do a lot of the finishing touches on the truck, just a lot of the dialing it in and making sure everything would work right or, you know, correctly the first time. First thing I had them do was I hooked up the Terminator X-Max harness. Everything is labeled, so it was nice and easy to hook it all up, but I had them double check everything, all my grounds, all my wires, everything like that, just to make sure everything was good to go there, so I did not mess up the motor from the start, from first startup. Second thing, I did have them install the entire fuel system, so there is the fuel pressure regulator on the inner fender. I didn't want to hook that up wrong, you know, to not feed the right amount of pressure to the motor, 60 psi of fuel pressure. So I had them hook up the fuel pressure regulator for me and run all of the hoses to the fuel rail and then the return back to the tank. And then the fuel system underneath the truck is a little unique. Let me crawl underneath there and I can explain it to you guys. All right, so crawling underneath the truck, this is what I've done with the fuel system. So instead of having the tank switcher and two senders like what guys normally have with these saddle tanks, I am using the passenger tank as a auxiliary tank to kind of feed the main tank that has the high output sender and everything to help feed the LS. So what I did was I just hooked up this little transfer pump to my switch panel, so then when I need fuel to my main tank, I just hit the little button and it automatically transfers fuel from my auxiliary tank to my main tank. So it's a lot cheaper of an alternative. I just used a stock sender, stock diesel sender, so there is no fuel pump or anything on it. It's just pretty much a vent and then a pickup or a feeder, you know, whatever, to connect to the transfer pump that transfers it to the main tank. So that is pretty much what I did for the fuel system. It is a lot cheaper to go that route than to try to have two high output fuel pumps and a high output tank switcher or a high pressure tank switcher and everything like that, and just more things that could fail. And one of the last things I had them do was extend my shift linkage for my steering column so I could reuse the steering column and everything up there. So they just extended it, just added a little bit more rod to it, and then they made the bracket work since the 4L80E is a couple inches longer than the 700 R4. But other than that, yeah, that's everything they did for me just to get it dialed in so I could get it on the road quicker and try to get it on the trail to go camping out of it. So that's all the LS swap stuff they finished up, but let's get into all the goodies I added to make it more comfortable for our camping trips. All right, so to start off, one of the first things I did to make us more comfortable at camp and to kind of extend our capabilities is I doubled our battery power. So instead of a 100 amp hour battery, I did a 200 amp hour battery. And let me show you guys the setup real quick. So here we go. This is a Redodo, or can't really pronounce the name, a 200 amp hour battery. I did have to extend the wall of the battery box out just a little bit to help fit it in there, but it is a snug fit, and I did not cut down really much space of the toolbox or the area to put my tools and everything, so I still have spare parts, tools, fluids, everything in that area without really suffering on space. I do have a Victron 12 volt to 12 volt 30 amp charge controller. It does have built-in Bluetooth, so I can monitor everything while I am driving to camp or on the road, and it has been great. Other than that, I do have the Wander Renogy charge controller, so they are separate. Just when I'm parked at camp, hook up the panels. The DC to DC is not working at that point, and I am just using the solar to keep the batteries constantly charged. From there, I still have the fuse block to all of my power outlets in the back, and then over there is the shunt that is running to the, let me open it up here, battery monitor that I have in the glove box. So the battery is pretty much fully charged, so it's just kind of topping it off or keeping it maintained, but it is telling me 100%, 200 amp hours of capacity at 14 volts with 6 watts coming in. And then when something turns on, like the fridge or we're charging some, it will tell me the time until I am out of power underneath the percentage there. But that is our charging setup. Over here is the panels. So I pretty much doubled the panels that I got. These are the older Devos outdoor panels. They don't really sell them anymore, but they are just a 100-watt fold-up flexible suitcase solar panels. So they fit great between the toolbox and the inner bed of the truck. So I just stuff them in there, and they are a perfect fit. I just have them connected to a Y connector and then running to that charge controller in there. So we have doubled our battery capacity, the input, and the way to charge it while we are on the road to help keep everything good to go with our fridge, charging any devices, and running our diesel heater that we just picked up that I will show you guys in a second. All right, coming on over to the diesel heater. I bought one of the, let me slide it out here. It is the H calorie suitcase or toolbox style. I did extend the power wire like 20 feet just so, you know, wherever we need to reach with the diesel heater, I could have it plugged into a 12 volt. The exhaust, that is a 16-foot dryer vent with a little directional thing on the end, so we could just take it up to the tent and stick it right in the window. It's not really needed on this trip. It's not extremely cold out here, but I just want to test it. So that's kind of what this is, you know, shakedown run, gear testing, everything like that, just to see what we need to improve or what we don't even need, just so we can, you know, keep improving and making us more comfortable and make camping more enjoyable for us. I like this style though, because the heater and the fuel tank are all inside of the toolbox. Once I get this open. So you guys know with diesel, if it gets too cold, it gels up and then it's unusable until it is warmed up. So with having the tank and the heater all in one box, the radiant heat from the heater itself will keep this from gelling up, so we can easily run that with zero issues. A lot of testing of it at home, and it's been great. It's pretty much good to go out the box. I had zero problems with it. I literally just threw a gallon of diesel in it, hooked it up to an extension cord because it does come with a 110 plug also and a 12 volt. But the 110, I just plugged into an extension cord, poured some fuel in it, turned it on, and it was running within 2-3 minutes. So I am extremely excited to try that out and to make snow camping more enjoyable for us. Over here I do have an ARB dry bag, wet dry bag that we put all of our bedding in, just because it can't fit inside of the tent. So throw it all in here, cinch this up real tight, and just toss it in the back so it is protected from dust and moisture and anything like that. From there, not really much has changed with the rack or the truck itself. On the back end, still 180-degree awning, pop-up tent, shower room. I am looking into upgrading some things, maybe just to have maybe a better tent, or maybe a better shower room, or get the 270 awning just to have more coverage. But other than that, all of this is working great for us at the moment with 0 issues. Other than that, one of the next upgrades I did was actually on the interior of the truck. It's just real small, but it should help us with navigating off-road and helping keep devices charged. So we'll jump in the truck real quick and I'll show you that. All right, so kind of the interior of the truck, obviously pew pew, have the put the 2A back in 2A Overland. I have tripod, bag, everything like that. All my camera garbage. Behind the seat, I do have a massive first aid kit. I bought that with my HSA through my work, so that's a huge plus. And from here, what I did was, the first thing was I bought a RAM mount setup, and I put an iPad in the truck so we could have Gaia or Onyx or any of the navigation apps loaded up. This iPad is just part of my service, so it's, I have cell phone service, everything hooked up to it, so I can stay updated with the maps on the trails. I just drilled a hole, 2 holes through the trans hump and bolted it right in. It does jiggle a little bit, but it is actually pretty sturdy. And with being a 42-year-old truck on leaf springs, everything kind of shakes in the cab, so this moving around a little bit doesn't feel out of place. Other than that, where the tank switcher was, I filed it just a little bit to be able to push this power plug in here. So it's on a little switch, turn on and off, and then has 2 USB-C plugs and a USB-A, so we could charge any of our devices, phones, anything like that, and that is directly connected to the battery. So luckily, with this being on off, it works just fine. If I just turned it on, it says it's charging. So that's a cool little addition. Since I don't have the tank switcher, I just didn't want a big ungodly hole in the dash, so I added that small power plug there. Other than that, not really much. None of the gauges work in the truck. I still need to hook up the fuel gauge, but the little 5-inch Holley Terminator X-Max screen is there. That gives me all the information I ever need, and I do have the GPS little plug-in for it, so I know my speed while going down the road. But other than that, major updates with the truck, everything it took to finish it, and kind of put a little bow on this LS swap video series, and show you guys all of the little additions I did to help us be more comfortable at camp. But yeah, I think it's about time for us to make some lunch. All right, we had a quick lunch. Now we're gonna go grab some trail sodas and hang out by the lake, enjoy the view, and start to see the sunset in the valley. No boats on the lake, so it is a nice wake, nice still flat lake. So well, that was pretty good to hang out by the lake and watch the sunset and have a trail soda. Now we're walking back to camp. Gonna make some Reubens, one of our favorite camp meals. Have some Reubens, have another trail soda, relax a little bit, and then I think I'm gonna set up that diesel heater, kind of give you guys a Little overview of what that thing looks like. And then from there, just relax by the fire until it is bedtime. What'd you call it?
A thick old boy.
Thick old boy Reuben. All right, that was some good Reubens. Now we have cleanup. I'm gonna clean the scuttle. I gotta put away the awning. I gotta put a few other things away, the shower room and whatnot. And then from there, yeah, we're gonna set up that diesel heater, start getting things prepped for when we go to bed. Oh, well, boys and girls, we are back from our trip. We kind of moved camps in the middle of the night because someone camping by us had some loud music on. So couldn't really get much footage this morning or anything like that. So I figured once we got back home, kind of give you like a little after trip report of how the truck went, some things I might need to fix or change, and how everything went overall. I would say overall, truck went amazing. Zero issues with the truck. The only thing I could see that I have a problem with that I need to fix sooner than later is the pinion seal for the 14 bolt does leak gear oil. It's not a ton, but it's something that I just have to keep an eye on, and then I could just keep topping it off when I think it is getting low. Other than that, truck drove great off-road, zero issues. The new steering stabilizer I installed worked great at absorbing any of the washboards on the washboard roads. I had an issue signing into Gaia, so I wasn't able to use the iPad and the iPad mount. But other than that, everything worked great. And diesel heater worked amazing. We had it on the lowest setting, so it kept the tent kind of warm, but I should have turned it up a little bit more just because the length of hose that I have a 16-foot hose on it. It would radiate heat throughout the entire length of the hose, so it'd be really hot where it comes out. And then at the, I guess, vent that we put in the window of the tent, it was kind of warm. So I have to get an insulated one and a shorter one just so it carries the heat better to the window of the tent. And the auxiliary battery I installed, complete overkill. Running the diesel heater for about 8 to 10 hours last night. It used, out of a 200 amp hour battery, it used 1 amp hour, which is absolutely insane. That's with the fridge turning on and off occasionally too, and then running that diesel heater. So that blew my mind. So that auxiliary battery we installed, like one and done with that. That's more than enough power we will ever need for what we're going to be doing with the truck, unless we figure out a way to live out of it full time or something. Other than that, yeah, everything was great. Went without a hitch. I do have about 400 to 500 miles on the truck just from braking, motor braking, seeing any leaks, anything like that. But this is the first time taking it kind of off-road. So it behaved beautifully off-road. Zero problems. The only thing is I have to make sure I air down more because on these Skyjacker leafs in the front and the shackle flip in the rear, it rides like a covered wagon. So I'm going to have to think about airing down really low off-road just to make absorbing any rocks or bumps or anything like that a lot smoother in the cab. And then possibly in the future start looking into the custom off-road design leaf springs and maybe some nice shocks, just to have the best and smoothest ride possible in a truck on leaf springs front and rear. Yeah, I want to say for a shakedown run in this truck, it went amazing. We do want to downsize a few things, just like our bedding, small stuff like that, just to make unpacking it and packing it easier, and then putting everything away at camp a heck of a lot easier. Maybe get a slightly smaller fridge. A 70-liter Dometic is kind of overkill, even for a 2-day trip. But yeah, that's kind of why I want to downsize a little bit. But other than that, great trip. No issues. Just keep an eye on that pinion seal. Keep topping it off with gear oil if it gets bad enough. And then let's get ready for the next adventure. So if you've gotten this far in the video, I want to thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me to follow along on the build series and to see this SquareBody grow from something stock to where it is now with the full build. So I really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Like the video, comment down below if you like what you see, or if you have any suggestions for the truck to make it better for when we go camping or just off-road in general. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye, you guys.